But man, she has got an incredible word from the Lord this morning. So if you would, please welcome my wife, Hope Clark.
Good morning, Sanford. Man, it is such an honor and a privilege for me to be with you this morning. Wow, I am so excited to be able to share some things this morning and to be able to celebrate the final day of 2013 as we move into 2018. It's my intention today that I would share with you a handful of tools that have been helpful for me that I'm going to be implementing as I move into 2018, and I hope that they will be helpful for you too as you move into 2018. Does that sound good? Are you ready? Awesome. All right, so the first thing I do have to do is I have to give honor where honor is due. I want to honor Pastor Justin and Stephanie for the culture and the climate that they have created in Action Church. It has been such an honor for me to be a part of this team. Kenneth and I have been a part of or in ministry for about 18 years now. And I can tell you, this is the funnest environment that we have been in ministry in our entire time. And so this is a special place. I want you to know that I honor your presence here and I honor my presence here too. But before I leave them, I do want to take a minute and rest for a second on Stephanie. Many of you may not have met her yet. Some of you may have, and she's often behind the scenes. We don't always get to see her up on the big fancy screen, but she is a powerhouse. If you get a chance to meet her, she is like the stability behind Pastor Justin. She is like the earth to his water, like the ice to his fire, just like I'm the vanilla to his chocolate, okay? She is the grounding behind him. And so if you get a chance to meet her, you need to go do it. Speaking of powerhouses, babe, I got to honor you. Man, this church just launched 5 months ago, and you have been at the helm of organizing it, and you have an amazing team that has come beside you. But, man, I've got to honor you, babe. Thank you. One of your greatest strengths is that you can see something better than it currently is, and you can forge a path to help people get there. And you're currently doing that, and I honor you for where you are and what you're doing. You're a powerhouse. Speaking of powerhouses, I want to talk about you guys. Me and you. Me and you. Yo mama and your cousin too. And see, some of you know that song, don't you? Yeah, You didn't think I knew, did you? I know. For those of you that don't know, that's a great Outcast song that just talks about family. Talks about all of us. Me and you, your mama and your cousin too. So what we're going to talk about today is abundance. That's what I want to talk about today. So I want to put up our key verse this morning up here. It's John 10:10b. And it really talks about the key essence of why Christ came. This has been a key verse for me in my life, and I want to share it with you. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Man, doesn't that feel amazing? But the first time I heard this verse, I thought, who's he talking about? Because I don't feel very abundant. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, that sounds like a great idea, but what is abundance? Well, as we move from 2017 into 2018, I'm pondering this, and I'm wanting to take steps that move myself into more abundance. And so I want to share some of those with you. I want to talk about how do we move ourselves from a place of feeling lack to a place of feeling abundance? How do we leave behind things in 2017 that no longer help us and move into things that do help us move forward? How do we apply what we've learned from him and make it actually tangible in our life and operational in our life? How do we move from a place of I can't into a place of I think I can and I am? That's what I want to talk about today. A place of moving from mediocre into a life of miraculous. So let me give us some definitions. I want to make sure we're all on the same page, okay? Definitions here. Mediocre. The word mediocre means of moderate quality, not very good, average, uninspired, unexciting. Ugh, it just annoys me reading it. Like, I don't want that kind of life, right? Miraculous. Now, there's actually two definitions to the word miraculous. But I bet if you're like me, you probably only think of one when you hear that word. The first definition is occurring through divine or supernatural intervention. This is those, it takes a second and Jesus just did it kind of moments. You know, like somebody raised from the dead, those stories we read in the Bible, or someone was instantly cured of cancer. Those things that happen, but we feel like maybe they happen to other people, and they happen only once in a while, and we only get to hear about them, but we never see them. Those are those moments that I kind of think of like they're a poof, like God just went poof, and poof, and it happened. He just did it, and it happened, but it didn't really involve me. I just maybe got to see it from a distance. But there's a second definition to the word miracle, and that's really what I want to talk about today, okay? This second definition is highly improbable and extraordinary and bringing very welcome consequences. Now, this second definition has the connotation that there was something created or forged over time. Highly probable, meaning there was doubt that it could happen. Extraordinary effort or time spent, and then the results or consequences of the actions that were taken were very welcome. So the idea here is that this is something that happens over time. It is a co-creation between God and man. These are the kinds of things that we look back on as a season in history or a thing that happened and we say, wow, that was a miraculous story. Wow, that was a miraculous thing that happened. Let me give you an example. In 1903, the Wright brothers took flight. But it wasn't just an instantaneous one-time miraculous act. They had been forging that plane for months. They had a small team of people who believed in it, but everybody else in the world said it was impossible. It wasn't doable. So here we have a small team of people that knew there was doubt, but they believed. They spent intention and effort and action, and eventually it came true, and it was a miracle when it happened. And it still happens today. The thing is, it's so familiar to us that we don't feel like it's a miracle anymore. But when we see a plane flying over our heads, that's a miracle. And it's still happening today. My working definition for this kind of miraculous life or miraculous happenings is high intention plus consistent action over time plus alignment with God equals a miraculous life. Would you put that up on the screen? I'm going to read that again. High intention plus consistent action over time plus alignment with God equals a miraculous life. When you think of people that have done something amazing, Albert Einstein, or you think about someone famous in history, and you think, wow, they're living such a big, amazing life, they're simply applying these principles whether they know it or not. And that's the kind of life I want to lead. I don't want mediocre, I want miraculous. So where do I see this in scriptures? Let's take a look at John 14:12. John 14:12 says, "Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever believes in me will also do the works that I do, and greater things than these will he do, because I'm going to the Father." See, I feel like Jesus came down and he showed us a miraculous life. He showed us how to live. He said, listen, you're created to do this. Now, I got to go back where I'm from, but I want you to keep doing this. And I don't think he was just talking about bringing people back from the dead and healing sick people. I think he was also talking about living and functioning and operating in a way that's on a higher level that produces many miracles throughout our days and our lifetimes. It's operating at a higher level than mediocre. this is the kind of life I want to cultivate. So I want to share with you some personal story here, some backstory of Kenneth and I. And I feel like as I look back on our life, we've had a miraculous story, and we're just getting started. So let me show you some fun pictures, okay? Are you ready for some pictures? All right, I want to show you a couple of pictures of when we were much younger than we are now. Let's see those two pictures side by side of Kenneth and I. Isn't that fun? So let's take a look over here at this little girl. This is me at about 6, in my boots and my shorts, and next to our barn on 5 acres with my goat Strawberry that I milked every day. This little girl grew up homeschooled all 12 years on little farms with both mom and dad. She grew up in a safe place, but she grew up in poverty. Let's be honest with what it was. Not with much. First store-bought clothes were about age 12. But she didn't know that. She was happy. She was content with where she was. She was homeschooled and was betrothed to be married at the age of 14. Some of you may not know what betrothed is, but it just means promised to someone in marriage when I was 14. This little girl also grew up in a family that was separatist. Separatist meaning we don't mix races. We don't mix with or marry others from another race. So that was the social circles, the teachings that I was taught, was grown up in that kind of environment. My future held for me a homemaker and a mother. I was a little bit discouraged from going to college because there's too many secular ideas in college. And so what I had outlined for me was a husband chosen and a life chosen for me. And it felt to me a little bit like it was this narrow, a little bit like I was trapped, a little bit small. Let's take a look at this young man over here on the right. You're right. He's about 12 here in this picture, and was just given this bicycle for Christmas, and then it was stolen 3 days later. Because he lived in a neighborhood, and a low-income neighborhood. Single mom, no dad, a lot of physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, a lot of feeling of abandonment, of rejection, a lot of time spent hiding in the closet or any safe space there could be. And no white people in this area, only blacks and Hispanics lived in this community. He met his first white people when he was about this age and was adopted by a white family at age 13. This is Kenneth I'm talking about here. So you can imagine, as he's growing up, what he's been offered, the opportunity that he sees available to himself is about this small too, just a tiny little window of opportunity of what's available. One of his friends died when he was little, so he thought, I might live to 25, maybe, or I'll be in jail. But we grew up, we continued to live, and we met out in Colorado. You can move to the next picture. And when we met, Pastor Joseph Thompson and Shola Thompson became advocates for us. Because when we met, after a short time, it became pretty clear that we were destined to be together. God had a higher purpose in us coming together. And it totally blew out my entire paradigm. And it caused an entire rift between my family and a separation between my family that was the hardest season in my life. It was a leaving behind of everything I knew to leap out and risk in faith with this one person that I had just met a few years before. It was a very trying season. When we got married, after marriage counseling and support from Pastor Joseph and Shola, this is us when we got engaged, this picture here. When we got married, neither of our personal families were present. Only extended friends and some extended family. But there were over 200 people there supporting us. Because what happened was we realized there was more available to us than we had originally seen. We simply believed there's got to be more available to us than the circumstances we're seeing around us. We decided to stop looking at the circumstances around us, and we decided to start looking at the growth potential that God put in us. And we believed there was more. And so we took a step of faith and launched out on a journey that has been riotous. We have traversed some difficult terrain being married, coming from such vast paradigm backgrounds, different paradigm backgrounds. It's been challenging, but it's been amazing too. And moving through those challenges together has been awesome. This is the kind of miraculous I'm talking about. Do you know how miraculous it is that a white separatist raised homeschool girl who grew up on a farm could get married to an inner city black abused boy who's fatherless and make our marriage work? And not just make it work, but wrestle through things to the point where we can support our children and we can be an influence to the lives of those around us. My life is miraculous. And I gotta say, so is yours. When you think about the stories of your lives, the things that have happened in your life, don't let them be familiar, like the plane flying overhead. Oh, it's so familiar. Don't let it be familiar to you. Acknowledge the miracles that have happened in your life. Acknowledge what you've come through, because it will bolster your faith and remind you that there are more miracles to come. You'll start looking for the miracles instead of looking for the mediocre around you. You'll be looking for the miracles. You know what else is miraculous? A church that's 5 months old doing what we're doing here in this community. You know what else is miraculous? We had a Freedom Retreat a few weekends ago. And the people who went through Freedom Retreat and the Freedom Small Group spent 12 weeks rearranging and digging down deep into who they have been and adjusting it and shifting it into who they're going to become. That was a miraculous thing that happened in every one of their lives. What is miraculous is going from beaten and abused to redeemed and free. That's the kind of miraculous I think Jesus came to show us how to forge. He wasn't just talking about those poof things that happen that we're not a part of. He was talking about our lives moving in the direction of miraculous things and living and operating at that level. That's what I feel he was talking about. So let me give you 4 points. And if you're going to write notes, here's the time to write it down. 4 things I want to share with you that I hope will help you move into this next year. The first thing is take personal responsibility for your value. Take personal responsibility for your value. Stop playing small. See if this mic's going to stay, huh? Stop playing small. Us playing small, us hiding in the corners, has everything to do with the worthiness and value that we believe we have and can give to the world. The thing is, he already did all the work for us. He already made us worthy. He already made us valuable. We're already there. Now what we need to do is own it. I may need a handheld. In fact, he made us free. In fact, you are so free that you can choose bondage. You are so free you can choose lethargy. You are so free. There is no condemnation. You can choose mediocrity. And if you want to stay there, there is no condemnation. You have the freedom too. He gave you that freedom. But what if you wanted more? Are you free to take more? Are you free to build more, to co-create more with him? Yes. Yes. We're free for more. Here's some cues. You know you're limiting yourself when you hear things come out of your mouth like, "Oh, I can't do that. I wasn't born into that. I wasn't given that as a child. I'm not able to. There's no time for that." Those are all limiting beliefs that limit your potential and limit what's possible. Here's how valuable you are. Christ came, he died, he eliminated any doubt that there could be ever sin holding you back, and he gave you absolute freedom. That's how much he loves you and believes in your life and your influence here in this world. Here's another demonstration of your value. Did you know that the U.S. government has placed a dollar value on your life? There's actually a dollar amount that they have decided is the value of a human life here in the United States. I want you to guess it, but first, I want you to imagine a scenario. Imagine robbers came in, kidnappers, and kidnapped you, took you to a safe place, and then sent a ransom note to your family. How much would be written on that ransom note for you? I want you to come up with a number that you feel represents your worth or your value, and just hold it in your mind. If it's low, you need to triple it or quadruple it, because the value that you believe you have is the level that you will operate at. Okay? The United States government designates the value of a human life at $7.9 million. Woo! We are walking treasures, people. Walking treasures. Like, if that doesn't make you brush off your shoulders and stand a little higher, I don't know what will. You are valuable. You have intrinsic value, and it's time for you to own it and operate like it. Second, take personal responsibility for your actions and your words. Whoo! This is a good one, okay? When you realize your value, you realize you're going to start making better choices. You decide to eat better. You decide to sleep instead of do dumb stuff. You decide to take better care of the vessel you've been given. And you decide to let go of blame. Blame is so seductive. It's so easy to blame somebody else for your bad day. Blame somebody else for your spot in the line on the highway. Blame somebody else for how you're feeling. The truth is, your feelings and your emotions are yours to own. You own them. Take responsibility for them. I walked into my 9-year-old daughter's bedroom a couple months ago, and I found a book that was 1 year past overdue at the library. You guys ever done that? Like, overdue library books? Yeah, but this was 1 year. Like, 1 year late. I immediately got inflamed inside. And my initial flesh response was to blame. You know what my thought was? Dang library, racking up fines on me. But I was self-aware, and I immediately said, no, it's not the library's fault. I rented this. I borrowed this book. It's my fault. I'll take ownership of it. I'll go pay the fine. I go to look it up and discover that I didn't actually borrow the book. We got it from the thrift store. All that wasted blame. But it was a great learning experience for me. No more blame. Take ownership of everything that happens in your life. Also take ownership of your verbiage. This goes along with your actions and your words, your verbiage. No more self-depreciating talk. You are too valuable for that. No more self-depreciating talk like, oh, I'm so stupid, oh, I'm dumb, oh, I can't do that. No. If you don't know how to do something, then go learn. If you're repeatedly doing something over and over again, then adjust it, then fix it. But don't talk negatively about yourself. You're too valuable. Stop telling the old story of where you were. Okay? Telling the old story of, oh, I used to be like this, I used to do this, No, your old story is like your old boyfriend or your old girlfriend, and you keep bringing it to the party. Like, nobody wants to see your old boyfriend or your old girlfriend. They're like, why are they here? Like, dump your old story and marry the truth. Where are you going? What are you doing now? What are you learning right now? What's a part of your life now? What's in your future? Not even what's happening now, but what are you working towards? Those are the exciting things. Those are the people that create miraculous lives. They're constantly forging ahead, constantly looking to the future. I got to share a really embarrassing story here that's a good demonstration of this. I had a really bad day. My negative thoughts were spiraling into negative emotion and into negative actions. That's how it works. So I go and I run and I hide to one of my favorite things that I like to do when I'm having a bad day. This was about 1.5 years ago. And I'm hiding, doing this activity that I shouldn't be doing that doesn't accurately reflect who I really am becoming. and I'm just eating it up, just doing this thing, just all the way in it, hiding. Nobody can see me. Nobody needs to see me. And then the worst possible thing happens. My 8-year-old daughter, Selah, finds me. She opens the door and gasps. She goes, "Oh, Mom, you told us not to do that." And immediately the shame starts welling up from my gut. It starts like building up, and my chest starts getting red, and my face starts getting red, and then I start sweating around my brow. And that shame, that shame that rises up within you when you're doing that thing that no longer reflects who you really are. And then she spells it out in words so that I can clearly identify the thing that I'm currently doing, because I've been hiding it from myself. I've not been acknowledging what I'm doing. She says it to me. "Mom, you are hiding in the pantry, eating spoonfuls of Nutella right out of the jar." It was so embarrassing. It was so humbling to have her say it out loud. And as I began to wipe the Nutella off the corners of my mouth, because I had been chugging spoonfuls of it, I realized, wow, she's so right. This doesn't reflect who I am. And she said it. "Mom, this isn't you. This isn't who you are." I said, "You're right, baby. This isn't who I am." So how many of you could identify with that story and resonate with that moment of shame where there's things you're doing in life? It may be little, it may be online, it may be in person, it may be not calling people back, it may be not getting up when you said you would, or not going to the gym when you said you would. It may be any number of things. But how many of us can resonate with that feeling? That shame in the pit of your stomach when you know you're not being in integrity with yourself. Those are the things we got to leave behind in 2017. It's time. It's time. Leave them behind, because tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is a new year, and tomorrow is an entirely new you if you want it to be. Right? Third thing, take personal responsibility for the content you allow in your head. You got to think bigger. Think bigger. Turn off the noise, turn off the distractions, and begin to self-feed. We cannot just rely on Pastor Justin to feed us once a week. We have got to be people who self-feed, who own our own growth and development. We've got to turn off the TV and turn on a podcast, something good. Close down Facebook and pick up a good book. Pick up something good, okay? I feel like we're not moving forward as much as we want to because we got our noses in so many others' businesses. We've got our noses in their business instead of our noses about our own business. Maybe we should call it Nosebook. We need to choose our own curriculum and schedule it. Is there a book you want to read? Is there a skill you want to learn? Put it on your calendar. Schedule it like an appointment. Take ownership of the content you allow in your head and stop allowing nonsense to fill your brain. Number 4, it's time to take personal responsibility for our connection with Him. Our Him in us-ness is what I call it. He lives in us. When we have a relationship with Him, we get to do life every day, every moment with Him. But it's up to us to stay close to that. It's up to us to stay with Him. He doesn't leave us. If there are moments in life when I feel like, where are you, God? Where are you? I have to immediately remind myself, I'm the one who leaves. He never leaves. I want you to put up this image. This image of a campfire here. You see this image of the campfire? Do you see the warmth of the campfire's glow? Picture this space with me for just a minute. I love campfires. I love space out in wilderness. Can you hear the crackle of the fire? Can you feel the quietness and the warmth coming from the fire? Feels really good. It just draws you in. You want to go sit next to it and feel the warmth of it. But take a look at the corners of this image, the dark spaces behind the trees, deep in the forest, and you can also feel the quietness and maybe the cold out there, out in the forest. It's a big difference. See, the fire never leaves. Fire doesn't move, but we move. We could move out or we could move closer. It's our choice in 2018 to continue to move closer to the fire, to find a space close, or to move away. It's our choice. He's given us the freedom to choose that. And life gets really, really good when you realize that you can light the fire within you. And then that burning, warm fire goes with you wherever you go. With you, wherever you go, and it sustains you. It is the source and sustenance for every miracle, every miraculous life you want to be a part of. It's Him. It's Him. So as I wrap up here this morning, I want to remind us all that He paid an awfully big price for us to live small lives. If you've been using excuses to live small, to hide in the shadows, to hide away, it's time to let those go. It's time to find them, acknowledge them, maybe write them down, and identify some steps, some things you're going to implement. Let go of busyness and start to implement intentionality into your life. Identify your value and own it. Stop playing small. Take personal responsibility for your actions and your words and own them. No more blaming. Take personal responsibility for the content you allow in. Own it. And take personal responsibility for your connection with Him. It's time to apply the formula high intention plus consistent action over time plus alignment with God equals a miraculous life. I got to tell you, our life with Kenneth and my children, it is amazing, but it didn't always feel so. It felt like trapped, like lonely, like hard for a long time until we began to take ownership for our own growth. And now life feels amazing and exciting, and it's miraculous every single day. Amazing things happen. I got 3 final questions for you. What excuses have you been using to play small? Identify those for yourself. Number 2, in what ways are you going to take ownership of your life in 2018? Number 3, who are you going to encourage to do the same? I believe God's people were never meant to have a club for those who are right, coercing those who are wrong to join us. No, I believe we are a 2 billion strong mass of people who are witnesses to a miraculous life. We're waking up to the reality that we are the sons and daughters of the Most High King, the Most High King who created the entire universe. And we get to live a life of continuous miracles over and over and over and over again. We're waking up to this reality, and we're beginning to move into a more empowered way of living, and it is thrilling to wake up to that reality. It is thrilling to be able to cultivate the greater things that he was talking about. We're here to do that today. I want to ask you, are you ready to leave behind old and broken and move forward? Are you ready? Are you ready? For some of you, you may look at that image of the fire and you might say, I don't know what that warmth feels like. I don't know what that is. I want that. I want a relationship with him. I want to start close to the fire. Or maybe you've been away from the fire for a long time and you need to come back to be close to him and to move forward. If that's the case, I want to pray for you this morning.
For the rest of you, if you just want more, I want to pray for you this morning too. So let's bow our heads now, okay? And let's get really intentional. This is the last day of 2017. You're about to move forward your life into 2018. So now is the moment to get really clear and really intentional. For those of you who would say, I need a relationship with God that will move me forward. I need the warmth of that fire. I want to pray for you right now. I want you to repeat after me in just a moment. But first, I want you to acknowledge it. Acknowledge, that's you. If that's you, raise your hand right now. If you want to sit closer to the fire, if you want a personal relationship with Him, or maybe you haven't had it in a while, if that's you, raise your hand right now. Yes. Yes. I see you. I see. I see you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pray. Pray with me right now. God, I acknowledge you are real. I acknowledge that you are speaking to me today. I also acknowledge that I am not perfect, that I have made mistakes, and that I can't fix myself. I want the warmth of your presence and a relationship with you. I need you. Jesus, I believe in my heart and I confess with my mouth that you are my Savior and my Lord. I give you control of my life. Come into my life and forever make me different. God, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your forgiveness. And I thank you for your new life. I leave today different in Jesus' name. And now I want to pray for those of you who want more. Father, I speak life and peace and grace and hope into every person who can hear my voice right now. I speak strength and empowerment as they move from 2017 into 2018. I pray that they would leave behind those things that do not currently accurately reflect who they are becoming, and that they would pick up those things that you have placed in their life, gifts, talents, skills, new abilities, new books, new mentorship, new relationships that will move them forward into becoming the people that you have called them to be, so they may influence the world in the way that you called them to influence the world. I speak all of these things with your power and your authority in your mighty name. I pray. Amen.
Amen. Come on, church. Give him praise this morning. Let's celebrate those decisions.